Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to do something a little bit different, something almost meditative actually. We are going to take a single, profoundly famous 10-word sentence and we're going to stretch it out. We'll put it under the microscope for a really deep exploration of its syntax, structure, and true meaning. You know, we hear certain phrases repeated so often that they completely lose their punch. They just become background noise. Well, our goal today is to strip away all that familiarity. We're going to look at the underlying architecture of these words and treat them as an uncompromising assessment of actuarial risk and personal transformation. Okay, let's dive into the exact source text. Be the change that you wish to see in the world. Now, we've all seen this, right? On bumper stickers, coffee mugs, inspiring posters in the hallway. But when we just quickly glance at it, we entirely miss the sheer weight and the staggering implications found solely within these 10 words. We aren't going to look at this just as some nice, feel-good sentiment. Instead, we're treating it as a rigid, step-by-step model for assessing and ultimately assuming the ultimate personal liability. To really kick off our deconstruction, we have to ask ourselves a pretty fundamental question. I want you to reflect strictly on the juxtaposition here. How often do we passively wish for things to be different, rather than actively taking on the profound risk of existing as that difference? Right out of the gate, the text sets up this incredible tension between our inner desires, the things we just want to happen, and the actual tangible cost of acting on them.
Let's move into Section 1, the core imperative, unpacking the command to exist.
Notice the absolute, uncompromising nature of this two-letter verb opening the whole sentence. Be. It doesn't say do, it doesn't say try, it certainly doesn't say organize or advocate. It starts with the most fundamental verb in the English language. It's a command that offers zero hedge. It demands your total, complete assumption of risk. Let's define that. Be, the fundamental state of existing. This single word commands a complete shift in our state. It's demanding that the action isn't just something we perform on a Tuesday afternoon and then forget about. No, it's an instruction to embody the concept. The text is telling us that the transformation required isn't some task on a to-do list. It is something we must literally become at a molecular level. Which brings us to Section 2. Defining the change, the subject of our transformation. The really crucial point here is that the change is positioned as a tangible noun. It's an entity. By saying be the change, the text is instructing us to take a completely abstract concept, change, alteration, difference, and adopt it as our own personal identity. You are no longer just a person doing things. You are the walking, breathing manifestation of change itself. This semantic contrast is just brilliant. There is a massive gap between the passive emotion of wishing for an alteration and the active imperative of being that alteration. Think about it. Wishing is a zero-risk, zero-liability posture. It requires 0 calories and carries absolutely no personal exposure. Being, however, that requires adopting the maximum risk profile. The text is essentially challenging us to cross the chasm from the total safety of wishing into the absolute vulnerability of actual existence. Let's go to Section 3, the vision we hold, bridging desire and reality. That you wish to see. By dissecting this specific clause, we realize the text actually acknowledges and validates our internal vision. It doesn't tell us that our wishes are useless. Actually, quite the opposite. It validates that transformation inevitably starts with a personal desire to observe something new. Your frustration, your hope, your wish, that is your initial risk assessment. It is the predictive model that serves as the exact blueprint for the change you are now commanded to become. When we break down the sequential logic embedded here, it forms a flawless causal loop. We begin with step 1, the wish. This is your internal desire. Then we move to step 2, the embodiment. This is where you apply that intense word be and take the wish entirely into yourself. And finally, step 3, the sight. This is the external impact. You finally get to see it simply because you became it. The text maps out a completely clear mechanism where the internal directly generates the external. Now for Section 4, expanding to the world. The ultimate environment in the world. I mean, think about the sheer scale of those 3 little words. They suddenly scale the entire thought from a deeply internal, microscopic, personal imperative all the way out to a vast, boundless external environment. You aren't just being the change in your living room or quietly in your own mind. The text pushes your newly adopted identity out into the absolute widest possible arena. So where exactly does the internal self end and the external world begin? The text forces us to confront this very boundary.
If you change your internal state of being, if you fully assume that personal liability, the external world inherently changes because you are a systemic, undeniable piece of that world.
All right, section 5, synthesizing the thought, reassembling the 10 words.
When we review these isolated fragments side by side, the complete journey comes into crystal clear focus. We start with the imperative, be, commanding existence. Then we move to the subject, the change, giving that existence a shape. We add the condition, that you wish to see, which provides the specific blueprint from your own predictive model. And finally, the environment, in the world, giving this new existence a massive place to operate. It is a perfect, unbroken line from the deepest inner self, rippling outward to the very fabric of reality. Read this full sentence again right now. It carries an entirely new, heavy significance, doesn't it? It's been completely stripped of any cliché. It is restored to its structural and philosophical power. This isn't just a polite, decorative suggestion. It is a profound, demanding roadmap for human agency and risk management. To leave you with a final thought today, I want you to ask yourself this truly provocative question, derived directly from the architecture we've just unpacked. What is the change you are currently just passively assessing that you should simply assume the risk to be? Don't just wish for it, embody it. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. Keep looking closely at the words around you and never stop learning.